Neno lako Bwana ni taa yangu, imani yangu Bwana ni Kristo, azma yangu Bwana ni kufanana na wewe, maisha yangu Bwana yote nakupa, kwani ninatamani kuwa na wewe, 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 kuwa na wewe.
Happy New Year. We thank God for the opportunity to come to your living spaces today. This is Moment of Truth on Truth TV. This is the year 2022, the year of the Lord, and we are delighted to be back. We have missed you for the 1 month that we have been off air, but again, we want to trust God that this will be a wonderful year. To start us off this year, we will begin with an interview on leadership with a John Maxwell Team member. I am joined by a friend and an internationally certified coach, speaker, and trainer with John Maxwell Team, Mr. Willy Tanui. Today, we will be discussing the whole topic of leadership, even as we focus on the teaching of John Maxwell. Thank you so much, Tanui, for joining us on the show today. I thank God for your life. Would you please go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself and sort of a mini bio of where you're coming from and to be a certified coach with the John Maxwell Team?
Thank you so much, Reverend. Let me take this opportunity just to thank you for bringing me here so that we can have this interview together. As you've heard, my name is Willy Tanui. I'm born again, and I thank God for being here. My journey of salvation began when I was in college, when I was at the university, just after my first year, where when you are in holidays, I got a book, and that book challenged me so much. I found myself actually confessing and asking Christ to come into my life.
Wow.
And that's how my journey began. And immediately after that, I joined a group led by Life Ministry at the University of Nairobi that time. And they were able to follow me up because I was a new believer. And they discipled me, taught me so much. So by the time I was finishing, I was persuaded that the Lord had actually called me to full-time ministry. They had taught me so much in terms of how to reach out evangelism, how to do discipleship, how to organize Bible studies, and all that. So I was able to join immediately I finished, even before my graduation. Before I graduated, I was already with them. I went through training with them for 9 months. And after that, started working briefly in Nairobi. Then because I was feeling that I wanted to come towards North Rift, I actually expressed interest that I wanted to go to and serve the Lord in Eldoret. But unfortunately at that time, the Eldoret office had not yet been opened. So they told me, you'll go to Nakuru first, and then when the Eldoret office is opened, then you can go there. Well, I came to Nakuru, and I'm stuck in Nakuru. Yes. Because even when the Eldoret office was opened, it was the person who was the coordinator for Nakuru was the one who was taken to Eldoret. Then I was asked to coordinate the ministry here in Nakuru, which was good because I was still young and I was still learning, and maybe establishing a new place would have been a bit challenging. So that's how I continued working in Nakuru, and I've been here since that time. I served with Life Ministry for 6 years, where we were doing a lot of evangelism, a lot of discipleship, and a lot of training. In fact, for me, really, my work, even though I was the coordinator, my area of specialization was in training. So I was training people on evangelism, training people on discipleship and leadership. And I would train church members, we would train church leaders pastors, we would train even the military, even the police, and any Christians who needed such kind of trainings, we were able to do that. After working for 6 years with the Life Ministry, also known as Campus Crusade Worldwide, then they're the ones who produced even the Jesus film that all of us are aware of.
That's how I know Life Ministry for Jesus film. Yeah.
Yes, Jesus film, which they translated into several languages. They're the ones who did that. After that, I took a break for like 1 year. Then I joined another Christian organization called Child Care Worldwide. Then it was called Child Care International. And it is a children ministry, just like Compassion, sort of.
Yeah.
And where what we would do is we would sponsor children all the way, child sponsorship program, all the way from lower primary up to college, up to university.
Yes.
And I worked there for 10 years. By the time I was leaving in 2015, I was actually the deputy director of a Child Care Worldwide Kenya. After that, the following year is when I actually got in touch with the John Maxwell team. And I was able to train and got certified as a coach, speaker, and trainer with the John Maxwell team, which John Maxwell team is a group of trainers that John Maxwell brought together, whom he felt would be in a position to help him multiply himself in a way, train people to be leaders, train people on personal development, on communication, and any other aspects that would really help people to grow in their lives. And so I began in 2016, and that's what I'm doing. Okay. But also in the year 2020, I also joined another organization called World Relief. This is also another Christian organization. And what we do, and which I'm currently still there, and I'm the coordinator for what we normally call Church Empowerment Zone, Nakuru Church Empowerment Zone, where what we do as World Relief is we empower churches to reach the most vulnerable in the society. But I do that alongside what I do as a John Maxwell team member.
If you are joining us now, this is Moment of Truth on Truth TV. We are having a conversation on leadership with a Maxwell certified coach and speaker and trainer, Willy Tanui. Thank you, Willy, for telling us a little bit about yourself. You did mention that you became a certified coach with John Maxwell. John Maxwell may be known to some and may not be so familiar to some. Would you help us tell us who John Maxwell is and his contribution particularly in the whole area of leadership?
Yeah, John Maxwell is an American. He's around possibly, I think, 72, 73 years old now. But he's been a pastor. He was a pastor for 25 years, just after he finished his seminary training, immediately after high school. And for the years that he was a pastor, as he went on, he realized that there was a big or a huge deficit on leadership matters in the church. And he felt a call to try and train or equip leaders on, equip church leaders on leadership. And he started very small. In fact, I think the first time was he was having a meeting, I think something like a pastor's fellowship. And he made a presentation. Then he asked, would anyone be interested on receiving a monthly, that time they used to have these cassettes, tapes, on a monthly basis on leadership. And to his surprise, everyone signed up in the room. And so he started, where every month he would prepare something, a cassette, and then, dispatch it to the members. And so it went on. And it started growing. More people started showing interest. And he started having seminars on leadership and doing all that. To the point that now he felt that he could no longer just work within his own church or denomination. Though at that time, he was actually leading like the largest church in his denomination and possibly among the top 10 largest churches in the US at that time. That's many years ago. But he felt that he needed to go global and do more. And so he began an organization, I think whether it was Enjoy or Equip. And basically it was to equip Christians or church leaders on leadership skills. And it started that way. And so he got out of the church and went on, and it became very successful. And with time, also he had started writing books on leadership, and people were reading his books. The target at that time was Christians, as he was writing these books. But one time, his publisher came with a research, and which really shocked everyone, including John Maxwell himself, that the 2/3 of the readers of his books were actually not Christians. They were not believers, but they were leaders of corporates, leaders of organizations, leaders of other places who were finding his books to be so nice. They were the ones who were buying those books in huge numbers. So it was for him now to make a decision that maybe now he needed to retarget his books, because now the majority of the readers are not Christian leaders, but actually many other people. So it was a difficult decision to make. In fact, some of his supporters actually dropped off because they felt that now he's now becoming...
He's now going to the wider market.
Yeah, he's going to the wider market. He's becoming secular. But John felt that was his calling.
Yeah.
And for him, it was an opportunity to actually reach or touch the secular world. Because John Maxwell believes that there is no principle in leadership that is not biblical.
Say that again.
John always says there is no principle in leadership that is not biblical.
So all leadership principles are based on the word of
according
God.
to him. In fact, normally challenges people. Give me a leadership principle, and I'll show you where it is in the Bible.
Okay.
So that's what he did, and so he changed, and now he targeted everyone. It was now no longer just exclusive to the Christians, but now it was to everyone. And he's written so many books. Currently, I think he's written something like 104 books, mainly on leadership, but also some on personal development, on communication, facilitation skills, and all that. But he has really majored on leadership and is a world-renowned guru on leadership. In fact, he has several standing presidential invitations to countries to go and teach or train government leaders on leadership. And he's been doing that. Yes.
John Maxwell, leadership guru, person who have contributed immensely in writing and training and equipping around the globe on the whole area of leadership. Let's try and understand John Maxwell's philosophy of leadership. Help us break it down. According to John Maxwell, he has this immense experience in the whole area of leadership. How do we define leadership, and what is, how can we understand leadership, particularly also in our context today?
Yeah, according to John Maxwell, he normally defines leadership as influence. Nothing more, nothing less. Yeah.
Just like that.
Just like that.
No, not positions. I mean, many of us look at leadership and just like, I am the chairman, or I am a CEO, I am influence.
No, it is for him, leadership is influence.
Okay.
And that's why, even if you may not have a position,
Yeah.
you are a leader if you have influence.
Okay.
And that's why you might find that in some places, there are people, they are the chairman, they are the presidents, they are the whatever. But really, there are other people who are not in those positions, but they are the ones who are driving everything that is happening in that place.
Yeah, they are the ones who are
So
leaders.
they are the leaders. Why? They have influence.
Okay.
Yes.
So John Maxwell defined leadership as influence.
Yes.
What is another key pillar of the way John Maxwell looks at leadership?
Yeah, one key pillar that John Maxwell normally talks about in terms of leadership, he normally says that everything rises and falls on leadership.
Wow.
Everything rises and falls on leadership.
Help us understand that.
What that means is that when you see things going well,
Yes.
it's because of the leadership in place. When you see things going down,
Yeah.
it is the leadership in place.
And this would start all the way down from family level to even national, international, global level.
Exactly, everywhere.
Yes.
Everywhere. Even in church.
Yeah.
If you see a church doing well,
Yes.
it is the leadership of that church. If you see a church going down, it is the leadership in that church.
We
So
like
that
leaders
no
take-
one has excuse. Yeah.
Leaders love taking credit when things are going well.
Yeah.
But we don't like the other side, that when things are going bad, it's the leader who is to blame.
Yeah, which is normal.
Yeah.
Which is normal for human beings. We don't like taking blame. Look at our African countries.
Yes.
Right now, you're talking of, we've been 60 years, 50 years since independence. You look at the Asian tigers. When we got independence, we
Yes.
were at par. I think I remember reading somewhere that actually our president, Jomo Kenyatta, lent, I don't know how much, to, was it Malaysia?
What?
Yes. Actually, Kenya lent money to one of the Asian tigers. I think it was Malaysia.
Okay.
But now, how do we compare? What happened? But you see, what you'll find with our leaders in Africa is like they would not want to take blame.
Yeah.
They'll always keep on saying the reason why we are doing the way we are doing, it's because, of the exploitation. Yeah, there's this, how Europe underdeveloped Africa. And they lie with that. But the truth is, you've been by yourselves. You've been leading yourselves. What do you have to show for the 50, 60 years that you've been free without any influence as such?
Okay.
Yeah, and so you find that people, they don't like taking, responsibility for failure. But that's the truth. And John Maxwell actually says we need to own up as leaders. Yes.
I like this conversation we are having on leadership, particularly as we focus on John Maxwell. And two key things we have said already is that leadership is defined as influence. And Maxwell says everything rises and falls on leadership. And so if we need to get things straight, if we need to change things, then we have to begin with leadership. Now, what is the contribution of Maxwell to the whole topic of leadership, and particularly, are there sources or resources that he has put out there? Some of these key resources, would you highlight maybe a few key resources as we try to understand Maxwell and his teaching on leadership?
Yeah, John Maxwell, as I told you, is an author. He's also a speaker and trainer. And he has authored several books, as I mentioned, over 100 books. And most of them are on leadership. There are books like the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. There's Leadership Gold. There's Developing the Leader Within You, Developing the Leaders Around You, Becoming a Person of Influence, and 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth. And all these books, they may touch on certain areas, but you find that they still go slowly by slowly, helping you to become a great leader. How to lead yourself, how to lead others, how to lead organizations, and all that. And those are things that actually they are deep at the heart of John Maxwell. He feels that that is his calling. And that's why even for him to establish the John Maxwell team, it was a way of multiplying himself, propagating himself, so that he may be able to have these resources, reach out to as many people as possible. Yeah, so there are many resources by John Maxwell that he has established. He has also created teams, like now the John Maxwell team of coaches, speakers, and trainers who are able to actually train this to numerous audiences. Yeah.
Thank you for mentioning these resources, and a number of them are even available in our local bookstores. Books by John Maxwell are available in local bookstores. If you're interested, you can check any of Christian bookstores, and I'm sure you can find resources by John Maxwell. Now, let's talk about this book, Developing the Leader Within You. Tell us a little bit about this book and why you think this book is among the critical books, among the most important books that John Maxwell has put out there.
Yeah, John Maxwell wrote this book, Developing the Leader Within You. And John Maxwell normally says that from his experience as a leader, he's found that the most difficult person to lead was himself.
Yes. So basically, the most difficult person to lead is me.
Actually, is me.
It's not the church, it's not the organization, it's not the nation.
It's not the other people, it's you.
Yeah.
And because of that, he came up with this book, Developing the Leader Within You, because he believed that until and unless you are able to lead yourself, you will not be able to lead others effectively. And so the Developing the Leader Within You gives you principles and nuggets on how you can start developing yourself as a leader. Things like character, integrity, truthfulness, all those things which are critical to a leader. If you are to succeed as a leader, then those are things you need to have, whereby you cannot be saying this and doing that. People will not take you seriously.
Yeah.
Or you cannot, not value people and expect to lead them. Yeah. In fact, John Maxwell normally says that people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
Yeah.
So, in other words, meaning that loving people, valuing people, those are key things. And those are things that you develop internally. You develop internally those things, how to take care of people, and then now you'll be in a position to actually lead them. When you have developed good relationships with people, they'll give you the mandate to lead them. In fact, John Maxwell in his book says that the lowest level of leadership is positional leadership.
Yes. The lowest.
That's the lowest level.
People are fighting and killing each other about these positions.
That is the lowest level of leadership. That you are a leader by virtue of the position that you hold.
Okay.
So, because you are the chairman, because you are the CEO, because you are the principal, so because of that title, you are a leader. That's positional. But the truth is, it's possible for you to have those titles, but not be a leader.
It goes back to influence.
Exactly.
Okay.
Because someone else in that crowd that you are trying to lead might actually have more influence than you. They don't have any position, but they're able to influence people to do that. And so you need to grow. Grow to relational, grow to performance, until you reach at the top, whereby now at the apex is where now you have someone who, in fact, everyone recognizes as a leader, even before you do anything. But that's based on how they have seen you grow. You've been able to lead so many people, and people have accepted you as a leader, and they respect you immensely for what you've done.
Okay.
Yeah.
You mentioned about character and integrity.
Yes.
And how vital is that to a leader, and particularly as you also focus on this book on developing the leader within you?
Yeah.
Because I know many people would be saying, I want to become a leader, and so the question becomes like, how then do I develop myself?
Yeah, character is key because in character, there is the aspect of authenticity, which actually comes from integrity. When we talk about that someone has integrity, we mean that he's authentic. He or she is authentic. That means he does not drink wine and preach water. He is what he says he is. He does what he says he does. And if you are to earn respect from people, it is when you stand by your word. If your word is not your bond, a long time ago it used to be his word is his bond. Yeah, not like today where, even if you are just exchanging something, you must have an agreement, it has to be signed. Because nowadays many people, their words are not their bonds. But when you develop that character where you can be trusted, where you are truthful, you don't lie, okay? Where when you say something, you will do it. People actually will come to respect you, and they'll start loving you. And one of the things also in terms of character is the issue of valuing other people, seeking their interest above yours. And I think there is no one who does not want to be valued. There is no one who does not want to be cared for. Now, those are things that they don't just come from anywhere. It's you to develop them within yourself. And when people realize that these things are within you, it is so easy for them to accept your leadership, to follow you. In fact, John Maxwell says that if you think you are a leader and have no followers, you are taking a walk.
I always love that analogy. You can say that again.
That if you think you are a leader but have no followers, you are taking a walk.
So if you're just walking and thinking you are a leader and you look back, nobody's following you, you're not leading.
You're not leading.
You don't have any influence.
You are just taking a walk. Okay. And that is actually coming from the fact that a leader must have influence. A leader must have influence. So then, how will you be able to influence people if you are not looking at your character?
Okay.
If people know that you do bad things or you don't really care for them, all you want is just people to perform. You know, you just want to get the result. You don't care what people go through. People will really not want to be your followers. They'd rather get someone else who can do it.
And I think in our context, we have a long way to go in terms of trying to change from this look of leadership like position or power that you tell a person to do this and they are doing to a position where you're able to influence. People are able to look up to you as a leader and just say, I'm willing to follow this person. Again, this is Moment of Truth on Truth TV. Thank you for joining the conversation this evening. We are talking on the topic of leadership with John Maxwell, team member Willy Tanui, and we are delighted even as we try to engage on the whole important subject of leadership. Now, the other resource that you mentioned was 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth. Tell us a little bit about this book and why you think it's important.
15 Invaluable Laws of Growth is one of the books that John Maxwell holds very dear to himself. Because he says what he has put in that book is what has catapulted him to where he is now. That book came about after one time when he was still a pastor. One time someone asked him, John Maxwell, do you have a plan for personal growth? For your own personal growth?
A plan for personal growth?
Yes, a plan for personal growth.
I know it's New Year, but I know we have many plans. I'm not sure whether we have plans for personal growth. That sounds an interesting question.
So, and John Maxwell tried to say, you know, in our church we've planned this, we are doing this, we have a strategic plan and whatever. No, the person, no. He was actually called a Kut Compire. So Kut asked, no, John, I'm not talking about the plans you have for your church, the plans you have, whatever, the strategy. No, I'm asking about John Maxwell. Do you have a plan for your own personal growth? And John Maxwell had to admit that he did not. And that actually got him thinking that here he was a very successful pastor. As I was telling you, that he was actually leading one of the 10 largest churches in the U.S. and the largest in his denomination. And that really touched him, and he thought, let me ask of other pastors, even some who are senior than him, let me get to know what were their plans, their personal plans for growth. But to his shock, utter astonishment, none of them, and he actually talked to several, none of them had a personal growth plan. And that's when he realized that, no, things were not right. That person who asked him was actually selling. He was selling some material on actually how to develop your own personal growth plan. He bought it. He had to save, screen whatever he could get to buy that material. And he started, and that is what actually got him started. And so these 15 valuable laws of growth are what he has gathered for so many years, being in leadership, being in ministry, and what has really made him grow to become the person he has become. And so it's a very, actually for him he says, in fact, of all the books he's written at that time, that for him was the most important book, because that personal growth would help someone even to become a great leader and become the person they desire to be.
15 invaluable laws.
Yes.
We may not be able to go through the 15 invaluable laws. Can you probably give us the top 3 you can remember from this book for people who are thinking about, I need to have a plan for growth? And earlier on we had said that, the most difficult person to lead is you. And probably they are wondering, where do I begin in the whole process of leading myself? Maybe these are some of the resources that they can start putting together in terms of coming up with a plan for personal growth.
One of the laws, in fact, the law number 1 is called the Law of Intentionality.
The Law of Intentionality.
The Law of Intentionality. And the Law of Intentionality actually says that growth doesn't just happen. Growth doesn't just happen. That growth is not accidental. Growth is something you have to work for. You have to determine.
And plan.
And work it for. Wow. And so John Maxwell says, if you desire to grow, then you must be intentional about it. What do you need to do to be able to grow? And so you need to lay down,
Okay.
come up with a plan, come up with strategies of how you are going to grow. And so in that 15 valuable laws of growth, it tells you how you can be able to do it. Okay. Another law it talks about is the law of reflection. And basically the law of reflection actually states, like you cannot grow unless you are able, to see the past. Yeah. So what that means is that as you are growing, you need to always spend time reflecting. Yeah. And like John Maxwell, what he always does every year, on during Christmas Day, after Christmas, all the festivities and whatever, he starts retreating, and he retreats for a whole week. What he does is to start planning for the following year. But before he does that, he looks at what happened in the past year.
Yeah.
The conferences he had, the meetings he had, the books he was writing, and was he able to do them well? Was he able to perform them well? If not, can he change anything? So when you reflect, someone normally says that experience is the best teacher. John Maxwell disagrees. He says, evaluated experience is the best teacher.
Just going through an experience doesn't necessarily teach you anything. You have to evaluate.
Yes. Unless you evaluate that experience, you'll not benefit from that experience that you had.
And maybe it's a good point to stop and ask whether organizations and churches and any corporate organization or individuals we have sat to evaluate our experiences last year, even as we are launching into the year 2022.
Yeah.
And one last law, maybe.
Yeah, maybe the law of awareness.
Yeah.
The law of awareness actually talks about that for you to grow, you need to know where you are.
Okay.
You need to be aware of yourself. What are your limitations?
Okay.
What is your potential?
Yeah.
What can you do?
Okay.
What can you not do? Now, when you are aware of yourself, then you can work on yourself.
Okay.
When you know that this is a weakness I have, then you can start working on that weakness. When you know that this is the strength I have. Another thing actually John Maxwell actually says that sometimes something that makes people not grow is they tend to measure on their weaknesses instead of measuring on their strengths. So someone works so hard to try and correct their weaknesses instead of working on their strengths.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So John Maxwell says he tends to work on his strengths and basically allow his weaknesses not to influence him so much. In fact, he was saying that as a pastor, pastors do a lot of counseling. But he realized that he could not cancel. Because when a member comes, John Maxwell is so fast to prescribe
what the solution should be.
So he realized he was not a good counselor.
Yeah.
So what he did was actually to remove himself from counseling.
Yes.
Get a counselor to do that.
Yeah.
If someone has a problem, he sends him somewhere so that he can concentrate on what he does best. And that's what has helped him to grow.
Wow.
The law of awareness.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. That is from the book 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth. Those are just 3, and that's why we have certified coach and speaker Willy Tanui, and I'm sure he'll be telling us more on how we can continue with the training. Now, the book, Becoming a Person of Influence.
Yes. Yeah, becoming a person of influence is still based on leadership is influence. Nothing more, nothing less.
Yes.
And what John Maxwell, now he co-authored it with someone else who also had a lot of experience in leadership. And basically that book is trying to ensure how you can, through influence, succeed in whatever you are doing. Whether it's in business, whether it is in your career, whether it is in church or whatever, that you need to be able to have people follow you. And how do you do that? But again, still the issues of character would still come in because those are key issues for you to be able to influence any other person. Things of valuing other people, whatever you have. Things of not being selfish, being selfless. In other words, basically that book of Becoming a Person of Influence, it helps you to develop some skills and what you need to be able to really attract people to yourself. And when you do that, you find that if you are, say, you are a coach, it can be a football coach, is you start realizing that how can I ensure that this team of mine wins? And you start realizing that there needs to be teamwork. We need to work together. Yeah, you need to bring those people together. So those aspects that you need to be able to develop a team to be successful. What can you do so that people can actually come to you and be willing to listen and hear what you have to say? Those are some of the things that now that becoming a person of influence touches in different fields that you can have. And it's a very nice book that someone can use. And this one now, it goes to every aspect that you can do. Because no man talk about influence, that even people like Hitler, yeah, of course he was a bad leader, but he was a leader. Why? He had influence. He was able to galvanize the whole of Germany and even be able to even talk about Russia and the other people, and he brought them together to start, eliminating the Jews and fighting against the other countries. So he had influence. Yeah. So what can make you have that influence? How was he able to do that? Those are some of the skills that book touches on. Okay. Yeah.
And like you mentioned, John Maxwell has so many resources, 100 books numbering 100 plus.
Yeah.
And we may not be able to highlight all of them. Yeah. But maybe one last one is the book Developing Leaders Around You.
Yes.
And the whole concept of multiplying. Maybe that's what he's also doing through people like you who are certified coaches with John Maxwell. Yeah. So tell us, what is the gist of this book of developing leaders around you?
Yeah, developing leaders around you is based on the fact that as a leader, you need to grow other leaders. Great leaders. Good leaders, grow followers. Great leaders grow other leaders.
Say that again.
Good leaders grow followers.
Okay, that like followers on...
They can have very many followers.
Yes.
Very many.
Like
millions.
This political season, or even on Facebook.
Exactly.
On Twitter, on Instagram.
Yes. So you can have very many followers.
Yes.
That's a good leader. But great leaders actually grow and develop other leaders.
Okay.
So in other words, like they multiply themselves. Now this book, Developing the Leaders Around You, helps you to know what to do with emerging leaders. How to identify them. How to equip them. How to delegate roles and responsibilities to them so that they are able to do what you've been doing. John Maxwell also says that if you are a leader, do not do what someone else can do. Okay? So like maybe you're a pastor, you're the senior pastor here. Yeah? You should not do what any other pastor can do.
If there's somebody else
if there's someone who can do what you are doing,
let them do that.
Let them do it.
So that you go to the next level.
Exactly. So that you remain with things that only you can do. And what that does is that it frees you from so many other commitments so that you're able to spend most of your time. The 80-20 principle, the Pareto optimality. We're talking about that actually 80% of results are gotten by doing the right 20%. When you start delegating your roles and responsibilities, then you realize you remain with the critical 20%. That which if you do them well, you likely get 80% of the benefits.
Say that again, 80% of the results.
Yeah, the Pareto Principle, the 80-20 principle, actually states that 80% of the benefits is gotten by doing the right 20% well.
Oh.
Yes.
Okay.
So that means that if I concentrate on 20%, and so it actually is the most important 20%, I'll get 80% of the benefits.
Wow.
Okay?
That's deep.
Yeah. So that means that if you are a leader, you need to concentrate on things that only you can do. Wow. So that the others are done by others. And when you do that, you find that you have enough time to concentrate on the major things and not having, you are running up and down here and there. In the end, you find that the critical thing that you are supposed to do, either you've not done it or you've not done it well, or you never did it at all. So the critical thing is for you to realize that this is my critical 20%. I'm going to do it. Any other thing, let other people do it. But then the aspect of delegation, because in developing the leaders around you, you end up doing a lot of delegation. Yeah. You cannot just delegate to anyone. So someone is passing there and it's like, now me as the senior pastor, I can, let me, John Maxwell says, or you need to, you have to have trained them. And in fact, in that aspect of training, there's an aspect of monitoring, correcting, ensuring that this person has really mastered the skill that you want them to do. Then after they have actually gotten it well, you allow them to move on. And as they take those responsibilities, you actually move higher. You move higher and higher, taking on other things which like were not there before. Because now whatever you are doing, someone else is able to do them, you move to a higher place. And I think this, is one of the things that I've seen many leaders failing in. We have, for your information, we have very many insecure leaders.
Yeah.
Insecure leaders. I've been to places where you find that the top leader, he's trying to do everything by himself. And the reason he fears that this other person might actually take over from him. But that is putting yourself down.
How do you help that insecure leader who feels like I cannot grow leaders around me because they will take over my place? That Herod-like mentality, let's kill every young person so that they may not take over from me.
Yeah, I think that's a very sad thing. But I think the leaders need to realize that when I grow under you, and you are the one who helped me grow, I'll never forget. I'll be singing you. And I'll be saying, white not for Reverend Jugona. I will not be where I am. Okay? And at the same time, that person also, there are some things they cannot do. They have to look up to you. They have to look up to you. And you cannot be living in fear. I think the Bible tells us, that we've not been given a spirit of fear. Instead, I think there's so much that a leader can do that should not make him feel fearful of this other person that is coming in. You are the one whom, if you are like a pastor, it's God who called you to be a pastor of that church, to be the senior pastor of that church. What you should be afraid of. You are not put there by man. You are put there by God. He will sustain you. And what you will be doing is, as you raise these other people, they'll become greater leaders. And even actually realize that their growth and their development is because of you. And they'll actually, always, lift you up because of that. So I think a leader should not fear. And I think there are many other, when you do that, when you step on people, God also, it's like he closes the ceiling where you would have actually grown and done other things. But now because you have decided to remain there, you'll remain there and not go far.
Wow, clearly, indeed, John Maxwell is a guru and an enigma in leadership, and he has developed quite enormous resources that can be used in developing oneself, developing your church, your organization, or your corporate group, or even nation. No wonder he has several standing invitations from presidents to train even high-level government officials in a number of countries. Now, what are you doing as a John Maxwell team member to leverage this training in our context? What are you doing to make this training relevant to us, and how can we benefit from the enormous resources that have been developed by John Maxwell on the subject of leadership?
Yeah, because John Maxwell is a great leader, he doesn't just teach.
Yes.
One of the things he realized was he could not do it alone.
Yes.
So what he did was he decided to develop a team that would be able to disseminate this information to other people. And that's when now he formed the team, John Maxwell Team, JMT, as we normally call ourselves. And he trains you and certifies you. Then John Maxwell gives you his materials, all the books that he has written, their curriculums on how to and then he trains you on how to train them to other people. And then now he gives you a lot of room to be able to carry out these trainings. So as a John Maxwell team member, you're actually trained to become a coach, you are trained to become a speaker and a trainer or teacher. And what I've been doing personally with other team members is organize meetings where we are able to train through some of these curriculums that we have So we get invited by organizations, by groups of people, by churches, as keynote speakers or trainers. We hold seminars, we hold workshops, wherever. It can be in organizations or whichever place, in churches, whatever. We do all that. We also have what we call Mastermind group trainings. And Mastermind groups trainings are actually trainings where we go through a certain material of John Maxwell. It can be like now developing the people within you. And we do it for a number of weeks, where if you are meeting face to face, we would meet like once a week. We come, go through one chapter or two chapters of the book, discuss it among ourselves. So we facilitate the training. We also give you workbooks that you are able to follow the training and go through, ask questions and whatever. And by the end of like maybe 2 months, we are done with that. But those are mastermind groups that we carry. But also because of the pandemic, personally for me, what I did was I realized, because I tried using Zoom, only to realize that our people are not very conversant with Zoom. Sometimes even like there are audio calls that you can make. Again, I realized that was a challenge. But I realized WhatsApp. Our people are very familiar with WhatsApp. They do a lot of it. So what I did was I would pre-record a session and then post it on WhatsApp in the group of people that we are going through the training and give them worksheets, and then we'll discuss. So after they get I'll just make them like a 10-minute video of the session. They would be able to watch it, and then we discuss via WhatsApp. And that worked very well. I remember we did that like for 4 months, just when COVID-19 came, and we were able to cover 4 books. In fact, the books that we've mentioned, we are able to cover them. Within each month, we are doing 1 book a month, because now, and then it was every day, I would send a video, a 10-minute video, and we did it for a month per book, and that was wonderful. That's why one of the ways in which we've been able to like work on the materials that we are doing. There's also coaching. Now, coaching is a relatively new concept in our community, and coaching is actually a place where someone is helped to achieve their goals or to perform better. When you meet a coach, the coach will be able to like remove any obstacles that are making you not achieve what you desire. Of course, we look at your purpose. What is your purpose in life? We look at your vision. What vision do you have? Then we look at your values. What do you hold dear? What do you really believe in? So that even as we are doing the coaching, we ensure that we remain within your purpose, within your vision, and within your values. Then we can coach you on any aspect of life, whether it's career, whether it's business, whether it's on relationships, or any other aspect that you desire to be coached on. But then we'll anchor it on your vision, your purpose, and your values. And that one, again, whether you want it to be done within 3 months, or within 6 months, or even 1 year. And normally for coaching, what we normally do is would meet with a client after every 2 weeks. So after every 2 weeks, you meet, you have a session for like 1 hour, and either it can be face-to-face, or it can be via phone, or it can be via Zoom, whatever medium you use. And you're able to talk together. And so when you meet, it's like, now, what do you want us, to work on today? What is the agenda that you want? And normally as coaches, we believe that the coachee or the client has all the answers. The work as a coach is just to draw it out. And because we've been trained on how to do that, we are able to help a client actually achieve so much. And those who have gone through coaching, they have actually seen, really improved and increased performance like they have never done before. And anyone who has been coached before will tell you that everyone needs a coach.
Okay.
Everyone needs a coach.
Wow.
Yeah.
We are grateful that the John Maxwell resources are available to us through the team member here, Willy Tanui. And if you are a pastor or a leader or a person who just want to develop your influence and you're wondering where do I begin, then I would recommend that you get in touch with Willy Tanui, and I am sure he will connect you with the right resources from John Maxwell, and even probably examine whether you need coaching in your life. So for churches or organization or CEOs or corporate groups that would want to get in touch with you and say, we need this training. Leadership is really urgently on need today. We, like we said, everything rises and falls on leadership. And they're saying, how can we get these resources? How can people get in touch with you so that they can probably engage with John Maxwell resources on leadership?
Yeah, I have a Facebook page which I have dedicated exclusively for the John Maxwell team work, and it's called Willy Tanui Coaching. Willy Tanui Coaching. If you just
I'm sure it's on screen right now.
Yeah, Willy Tanui Coaching, and my number also is there. 0722-817762. You can get in touch with me, and I'll be able to share with you, and we can talk, and then we can agree on the way forward.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. We can't thank you enough for finding time to join us on Moment of Truth. We hope we can get more time in the future to engage and even respond to questions that our viewers might have on the topic of leadership. All of us who agree that we need more training on leadership, and we need to develop the leaders within us so that we can increase our influence, and that's how we're going to get results for the kingdom of God. And so we are delighted that you're able to join with us this evening as we were looking on the topic of leadership, particularly as we focus on the resources of John Maxwell, and we thank you so much for finding time to join us. This was a special episode of Moment of Truth on Truth TV, a production of AIC in Town. If you are ever in our area on a Sunday morning, remember, we would love to have you on one of our services at 9 o'clock or at 11 o'clock, and I know that we'll be blessed even as you join us. We want to believe that you will develop yourself as a leader, that all of us will grow in our area of influence so that we can develop, we can be able to produce results for the kingdom of God. Thank you so much. Again, if you would want to get in touch with Willy, please go to Facebook on Willy Tanui Coaching, and his phone number is on the screen right now, and you can get in touch with him. He can come and train your team. He can coach you on a personal level, and I'm sure all of us will benefit from resources that have been developed by John Maxwell. Until next time, my name is Reverend Haron Juguna from AIC in Town. God bless you. Bye-bye.
Neno lako Bwana ni taa yangu, imani yangu Bwana ni Kristo, azma yangu Bwana ni kufanana na wewe, maisha yangu Bwana yote nakupa, kwani ninatamani kuwa na wewe, 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 kuwa na wewe. Bwana winuliwe, pia waabudiwe, sifa zote ni zako, ewe Mwenyezi.